But in between, I played the soldier boy. And they shaved the hair off me. He freaked. And turned up in Canada. But I was adamant. Yeah, sure. But me, I tried for about half an hour. I remember it got quite heated, and there wasn't a lot of time to try and persuade him that we were reminting this goblet. Come on, it's a new era now. Like, come on, the guy can have a shaved head. Wear a leather jacket, what's not to like? What's not to like?
So you try.
He said, "Are you crazy? Are you crazy?" And he actually used the word romantic. He said, "No, he's got to be romantic. He's got to be soft." Yeah. Such was the thinking. So I ended up wearing this plastic wig, and I'm not bitter at all about it. But underneath that wig, I looked. And of course, 10 years later, there's Eccleston with the leather jacket and the shaved head. I rest my case. He stole my life. He stole my life.
Hello. I love the audio, so I think you're a great doctor.
Thank you very much. It's all this book.
What was it like working with Julie Cox?
What's it like working with Julie Cox, who of course played Mary Shelley?
She did.
Yes. The writer of Frankenstein.
I thought she was very sexy.
She was.
And when you can be sexy in an isolation booth, made of plywood behind like inch glass as well, that means you're sexy. When you can still exude.
See, that's one of the things that people get misunderstood about. Things like romantic scenes on radio. Everyone's going, they all kiss their hands. They think, oh, no, but no, it's not kissing it. It's self-love, isn't it?
Have you ever, has there ever been cause, have you ever filmed anybody in the studio working? Has there ever been? Has that ever made out?
Yeah, we had for...
like when Barrowman goes in there, you've got to film the guy.
You don't have any choice. It's a question of what you don't let him show on camera. Barrowman's a very interesting man.
He's very physical.
That's the word.
Even on the radio. He's
very physical, and obviously, I'm not even going to go there. So yes, he's wonderful. He's so enthusiastic about everything. We've just had him doing a lot of Torchwood stuff, and and it's great that he's so supportive of the character. And he loves the character, and he's so creative about it because he's written books on the character. So I mean, but he is. There is no off switch. He's 110%. To which I was always corrected by someone who said, there's no such thing as 110%, because you can only have 100%. It's impossible to have 110%. To which I replied, you've never met John Barrowman. Because he is definitely 110%. But he's lovely. He's lovely.
We should now take a question from near at the back, because
yes.
People down the front hogging everything.
that gentleman in the back, there we go.
Other than the rubbish wig.
That's an amazing voice.
Other than the rubbish wig, what is the most difficult part, or is there a difficult part in returning to the character repeatedly after sometimes weeks, months in between recordings?
It becomes less and less difficult, I think. That's the way it feels. Now, and it's the only, probably for most performers, you're lucky to get one of these roles in your life. Really, one is all you need. It feels like a privilege to go back, and it's easier each time. I think. There's familiar things about it, and that feels great. And it's not difficult at all. I don't think it is difficult.
Do you mind? I've never asked you this. Do you mind being, if someone reports something in the newspaper, it's former Doctor Who, if you see what I mean? Because it's like being James Bond or Sherlock Holmes. It's a part which is always, you will always be, if you see what I mean. Do you mind that at all?
No, I think it's part of it. As I say, you're looking at a working actor. Most actors don't work, or find it tricky to get work. I'd be some kind of idiot not to be associated with these things is great, I think. It's kind of weird sometimes, yeah. It will be, I mean, Daniel Craig will forever now be
Bond.
well, soon to be ex-James Bond, yeah. Whatever, I bet he's not complaining either. No, it's a good thing. It's good to be associated. And anyway, they still think that I'm my brother. Sometimes you can just kind of slip and. Also, I don't, because I've not shot so much Doctor Who. Like I say, 6 weeks maybe in my whole life. Because I'm not Smith or Tennant, who were instantly recognisable. I can sort of sneak around under the radar a little bit. It's easier to do.
When your brothers, is it a case that within the brothers, if one of your brothers was doing something high profile, say, for example, with Stephen and Called Midwife, for example, which is a big series on BBC One, do the rest of you suddenly get mistaken for them?
Yeah, all the time.
Really?
Yeah. And you kind of, I think if it's a good role, play it well, then you go, oh yeah, thank you.
It's
cheap, I know, but
Stephen.
yes,
Oh, really? That's terrible.
And then, conversely, if it's something that might be something you're not particularly proud of yourself, you can blame one of the brothers. It's so easy. I'm sorry, that wasn't me. That was Stephen. Don't blame me. Yeah.
But you must. Do you get more? Do you get recognised more for With Now and I or Doctor Who?
But they've both been so long ago. With Now was 30 years ago. Doctor Who, yeah. But like I say, it's nice to be recognised for anything. Really.
Are you ever surprised when someone quotes With Now to you?
Not really.
It's so quotable.
It's so quotable, yeah.
What's the most surreal moment?
When I was only in it, imagine having written it. Imagine having written that. That's a work of genius, to write to that standard. I mean, yeah, there's things like that, Harold and Maude, other films, you think, wow, just quotable stuff after years. My favourite performance, James Fox with Jagger.
Yes.
It must be a real buzz that to have written that thing, to get his lines back. A couple of years ago, somebody, apologies to people that don't know what I'm talking about or know the film, but someone had chalked on the pavement outside of my house, perfume Ponce, with an arrow going to my front door. Brilliant.
Were you quite chuffed by that?
No, I was annoyed at that. Because I had to go and clean it, but thinking it's funny.
Another question, over in that corner, there was, yes, the gentleman next door.
For the Big Finish Dark Eye series, Dave Becker got a new costume and a new sonic screwdriver. Is there any chance that that new screwdriver might be offered as a toy for character options?
Well, that was all created by Weta, wasn't it? So Paul, that came about because you've gone...
Yeah, because I started complaining that...
Yeah. Because we were still using photographs.
Well, they're still using photographs from years ago. It was just one of them, I'd come to shows like this and these same photographs, they were never anything new because I'd only ever been in this one thing. I forget how it happened, maybe it was Bill in New Zealand. We were having some conversation and somebody said, well, you could stand up for yourself, man, talk to the BBC or whatever, just get a new costume. Well, it took a while and we arranged it.
We were prepared for a little bit of pushback from the BBC, but actually I was quite surprised how quickly they went, yeah, they're fine, whatever, because they're so brand conscious.
I made 2 phone calls myself to the BBC.
Yeah.
And it reminded me, anyone ever seen that Terry Gilliam film, Brazil?
Yeah.
When you call it
Yes.
the BBC, it's like calling Brazil. And you speak to some operative in some office, they hand you an hour. And none of them claims any responsibility for anything. And then you put on hold. And so long as they don't say no, that was the implication, you can kind of go,
Yes.
we didn't have this conversation.
Well, we had, so when we put in the cover of Dark Eyes, obviously we had to get that agreed. That had to be a positive yes.
All right.
So at that point we had to say, well, everyone says it's a really good idea. And
I got a leather jacket finally. So it's like, it's childish really, it's my little rebellion. But when we were down in doing like the boy band thing with McCoy and down in New Zealand, luckily we were invited to the Weta workshop. Because you can't knock on the door and ask to come in, they've got to invite. I got in, it was fantastic. And one of the guys there, David, had made this Sonic for me. And he's the guy that made this steampunk Sonic. I would have brought it. It's in bits. Yeah. Little like its owner. No, because I kept bringing it, and they want to see it in every airport I went through, and it came out, And what's the point in bringing it? People can't play with it, and in the end it just kind of felt a bit. So I need to wait till I'm back in New Zealand and take it back to David so he can fix it. That's the second one. I had the first one stolen. Remember that?
really? Yeah.
Wow.
You
Stolen
told me
on
that,
a train, yeah. So that's nothing around somewhere. You see that one on eBay probably.
So I think at the moment it's not unofficial, but it's not official. You see, that's the problem.
It is what we say it is.
Yeah.
Or it should be.
Absolutely. It's the Audio Doctor's screwdriver and costume.
Yeah. And it was a peacoat. Because my daddy was a sailor. That's all I'm going to
So
say.
there's big brass buttons on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All to do with my dad. There you go.
Another question over here somewhere. There we go. That lady there.
Is there a story from previous doctors or current doctors that you wish you could have done?
In a childish way, only so I could meet the Yeti. Anything that would get me in the same story as the Yeti, which I've never forgotten. That's what hooked me on Doctor Who as a kid. Most of the time the chest comes up and it's a ball just comes out like that. That's the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Conceptually, it's so brilliant, isn't it? It was so clever back those days because there was no real budget for physical effects, and they just used imagination.
Well, there's still very little budget for physical. No, it's true.
Yeah, in relative terms to
In relative terms, Moffat was saying that the BBC don't give them any more money than they ever have, than they used to. Their thinking being, well, you're doing okay on the money we give you, so they've never really increased their budget.
No.
Unnecessarily, that might mean, again, only because Stephen Moffat's alluded to it, that episodes need, or probably will, become shorter again. 45 minutes is too long, 50 minutes is too long. Seeing those original episodes from the 60s, 25 minutes long, it's kind of right. There's something right about that. Anyway, watch this space. Keep watching the skies.
Another question.
Can I ask the non-Doctor Who question?
Yeah.
Certainly.
What was it like working on Luther?
What was it like working on Luther?
Yeah.
I spent most of, when Idris was around, I spent most of the time trying to avoid it. Because Idris likes to get in the mood. Yeah, because his character just wanted to beat the shit out of my character. So I can still, even now when I think about it, I'm watching him. I hear him arrive in the morning. His driver would bring him in. And like the day, for example, the day when I was Idris Elba's love rival. Can you believe it?
Really?
And
Really? Sorry.
And there was a scene where he had to beat the crap out of him. And the day we shot that, he came in the mood. Like this is 4 hours before.
Total method.
Yeah, before we were going to shoot it, and he's calling my name. Coming to get you there. I'm hiding in these caravans trying to avoid it. So by the end, you didn't even see me till I actually opened the front door. And he did the deed. Yeah. He's a sweetie, but he does like to get in the mood.
Did he were you a bit worried he wasn't going to pull his punches?
Yeah, he's a big guy as well. You know, I'm quite little, he's big. And it was like that. He just like went, threw me on the bonnet of a car. I was just happy when it was over. I was happy just to hear the first assistant, okay, cut, we got it. He's a bull of a man. He's a sweetheart, man. And you know what? He's having a ball. Idris Elba. It's his time, you know. And I'm really happy for him. We shared an agent around that time. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I'm going to. And she occasionally would ring me up. She was my agent as well, so. And she said, "You seen Idris?" And I said, "What am I, my brother's keeper?" And she said, "Well, you see him, tell him to go to bed." So I get a message. He wouldn't go to bed.
He'd just be out partying.
Because it was his time.
Because he was DJing, wasn't he?
Yeah, DJing, if there was a party going on somewhere, even if it was across London, he wouldn't go to bed. No. He'd turn up the next day to beat the crap out of me. Having a whale of a time. It's great seeing somebody, and somebody that deserves it as well, just, you know, having success. Yeah. A wonderful actor.
He's a great Hemdahl.
A great what?
Hemdahl in the Avengers movie.
Yeah, he is, yeah. Anyway, I hope his ears are burning. I hope he's asleep and his ears are burning.
Another question. You're right down the back. Bridget.
So what's coming up next for you?
Well,
I just shot a little movie, and I think it could be okay. It's called B&B. And I made it with Joe Ahern. Now, Joe Ahern he's a director. He directed this thing. But Joe was responsible for half of Chris Eccleston's episodes. Joe directed those on that too. Joe and Chris are great friends. And I'd always wanted to work with Joe. And there was a story There was a story in England in the news about 3-4 years ago of this guy who ran a bed and breakfast refusing a married couple, these two men, a room. He just didn't want to, you know, he said, no, you know, I know it's a free country and that, but, you know, I'm a Christian, and it was a serious matter. And they took him to court and they won this court case. Anyway, this is the story. And I played the guy who runs the B&B. We just shot that, and I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be okay. Yeah.
So is that the first time you worked with Joe?
Yeah, I was dying to work with Joe all the time. For years I was trying to.
Can we talk about your directing?
Yeah.
Okay. So you directed recently?
I've directed a couple of times in the last year, and it's on TV in England. And it's actually turned my head a little bit. I think I want to be a director now. I don't want to be an actor anymore. It's so much easier. It's so easy.
You control everything.
Well, you don't, but you just think you do, yeah. But you get all these assistants. What's not to like? It's so much easier. There's one day on the technical recce where you've got to know what you're doing. You've got to kind of be prepared. And they all turn up for the first time and they kind of think, okay, what's the story? You know, you've got to sound like a grown-up. But for the most part, then it's all heads of departments, it's all proper people. They go, do you want a red one or a blue one? Blue one. Do you want a big one or a little one? Whatever. And they go and do their jobs and you steal the glory. It's great. That's how it is. So I think I might do that for a while. Yeah, I like it.
Oh, young lady over there.
What is your advice for young actors trying to break into the industry?
Young actors trying to break into the industry. Well, if I said this to my son actually, who was trying to be an actor. If someone can stop you, if you can possibly be stopped and dissuaded from doing it, don't do it. Don't even try to do it, because it's too hard otherwise. You know, you won't accept the rejections, you won't accept the way things are. If you can't possibly be stopped, then welcome to showbiz. you should be an actor. And if you can train, if you can afford to, if there's a chance to do it, it's good. You know, it's not compulsory, but it can, at least for those couple of years, maybe if it's 2 years, you know, you might get to be in a company. You know, you get to maybe play things that you wouldn't be naturally cast for, you know, as a professional. You get to kick things around, you get to learn, you know, in safety. That's really the only advice there is. And don't take any of it personally, because it's not meant to be personal. None of it. Even the good bits. It's not because you were great, it's just because you were lucky, or just because it was your turn. You know, and the bad bits, it's not because you were shit. It was somebody else's turn. That's how it is. I sound like an old hand now.
Gentleman over there.
Was there any go of Dr. A continuing visually?
What, on TV, or
Yeah.
any hope of the doctor continuing? You know what? It's always out of our hands, isn't it? I hope so. I think that would be the only thing that would stop me directing now and bring me back to being an actor. I'd love to come back. I think given that little taste of in Night of the Doctor, it was such a thrill. Yeah, I'd love to come back. I don't know if I'd like to. I mean, they'd have to try. They'd have to persuade me. I don't know if I'd like 16 hours a day, 9 months of the year kind of side of it. I want to look at Capaldi and Matt Smith and you know how hard they're working.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like to work that hard. Who says you got to work that hard? It's like, and in American television, it's even harder apparently. You know, it's like the hours are ridiculous, whatever. But I don't know that I've got that much discipline.
Well, the problem with a show like Doctor Who is if you're playing the Doctor, you're in practically every scene.
Yeah.
Which is the wonders of audio, because you can come and do it in a day and leave. So
Yeah. And for the 8th, you know, and like I say, my meagre sort of aggregate part in it, I've been really lucky because other people do all the heavy lifting and I seem to just come in the last 5 minutes, score a goal. How jammy is that?
I think we must be running out of time. So there's a question over there.
It's really, who was your first doctor?
Who was my first doctor?
Yeah.
Who was the first doctor to start with? Yeah, when I was a child, yeah. He seemed fantastic. There was something kind of scary about him for a kid as well. Weirdly, I'm older now than he was then, but he seemed really old. And he seemed like a Victorian. There was something. I think that, you know, kind of, maybe it's just a British thing, but he was from a sort of tradition, at least in those days, you know, he was somebody that you could look up to, someone you could revere. You know, back in the days when people actually revered older people a little bit more. But he had a twinkle, didn't he? I liked him. And it's great to see those old episodes again, to be reminded of actually how brilliant he was. What about you, baby? You're a lot younger. What was your first? Tenant?
No, John Pertwee actually. John Pertwee actually. Yeah. We worked out actually. The first thing I ever saw when I was very young was the repeats of the Sea Devils with John Pertwee.
Oh wow!
And we worked out. And worse than that, because he's a bigger geek than me.
Find the YouTube of John Pertwee in his hover car. And Miss Dagenham 1974. I promise you it exists. It's great. I mean, it's so great. It's such a slice of an era. You may take a while to find it. What a shame. You nearly saw John Pertwee and Miss Dagenham.
Well,
1974.
I'm just going to play a little bit of this actually.
And apparently he owned this hover car.
Yes.
Yeah. It was his own car.
He managed to persuade them to actually put it in the show and then pay a fee for it.
Actors were smarter in those days. Hey, thank you so much, folks.
get there next time, get your Paul McGann
Yes.
Doctor audio.
Buy lots of these because the more you buy, the more we can make. That's right, isn't it?
Absolutely correct.